Hey guys, Matt here from Loon Outdoors, and today we're going to be tying a copper john. We're going to spice it up just a little bit different. As you can see, we're using a blue bead. It's 3/32, size 10 Hare hook, and some 0.15 non-lead wire, and as always, Vivus 50D. So this is obviously a super popular pattern, and this is just a little spin on tying it, and should help you catch quite a few fish. So we start by doing touching turns of our non-lead wire, and we're going to tuck that underneath our 3/32 tungsten bead, just to kind of help create that taper. Next up, I'm going to start my thread behind the non-lead wire. I wrap forwards and back, just securing that in place, making sure it doesn't slide. Also, just so you know, starting your thread there helps you create a little bit of a ramp. So what we're going to be doing here is these are some biots. They happen to be brown. You can use black, hot pink, whatever you really want, just to spice it up a bit. And that's just kind of the fun of fly tying. You can manipulate your patterns to do pretty much what you want them to. So you can see I turn them, there's a curved side, so I turn the radiuses of the biots away from each other, which gives you that nice splayed tail. We're not tying these for Instagram, so they don't have to be perfect. They just has to have a tail back there to make the pattern complete. And they're going to fish just about the same any way that you do it. You can even just poke the tails straight out the back. It's really your call on how much time and effort you want to put into it, and it's a fun technique to learn, though. So you can see right now I'm creating my thread base. It does take me a little bit of time because I do use such a fine diameter of thread. So once I get that in place, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of continue building this thread bump. It's all good. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring our wire in. And you can see I've left a little space there. So this is just some BR uni wire. It's in a dark blue. Kind of plays with the bead pretty well. Thought it looked cool. I've been doing really, really well in the last few years on blue flies. Obviously they don't, mimic anything in the world. So what we'll do is we just tie that thread in and that wire in down the back and smooth it all out nice and neat. And we'll go ahead and wrap forward here. You got to mind the pinch of your hook there, the barb. Otherwise it'll pinch your wire and kind of mess stuff up. And you just got to take your time at first, but ultimately the better the thread base that you lay down, the better your overall copper john will appear. If you're using a little bit thicker thread, you just want to make sure you don't get too bulky or too thin. This pattern historically kind of is just average as far as bulk and thickness. It's cool. The wire does add a little bit of weight to it as well. So what I'm doing here is, you can see I just throw some spacing in the wrap so I don't really freak out. We'll helicopter off. This is actually like a cool Euro product that I picked up at a shop not that long ago. And it's got a little bit of stretch to it, so it's almost like thin skin with flash. Guys use it for like caddis larvas and other check nymphy cool things. So what I do is I'm kind of setting where I'm going to start my thorax here. This is a little wider. You could trim it thinner if you want. I've just never noticed that it fishes differently. So once I have it tagged in there, we're going to go ahead and grab some peacock herl. I use the 5 to 7 inch. Seems to give me the most utilization, and I can tie really big flies with it. If I wanted to tie like a big rubber legs, that longer fiber seems to really help. So I'm going to take about 4 or 5 strands. I even out the tips, and I just tie those in tip first. So what we're going to do is take a few wraps and create that thorax. We'll trim off the excess here. And next up, we're going to bring in some Hungarian partridge. This one's been dyed brown. I like partridge. It has a really cool, mottled look and effect to it. And matches my tail. If you went with a different color tail, you can always do different color legs. Like I said, sky's the limit on variations for patterns. So what I do is I cut a little V, and I'm going to use that. And I don't want my legs to be even. I don't believe in even legs. Just my thing. Can't really explain why I do that, but I just feel like it gives a little bit more movement to the fly. It creates a little bit more of a natural and realistic look. So I'm trimming off the rest here. There's a few loose ends to, trim up. Honestly, those can be left even if you're just being lazy and tying quick flies for tomorrow's fishing trip. So I'm going to pull our wing case over the top, and I take a nice securing wrap or two, and just make sure that the wing case is where I want it. I pull a little tension, and I go ahead and trim. Once I have the wing case trimmed, I'm going to go ahead and maintain tension while I hand whip. You could use your whip finisher here. And I like the legs just to be kind of all over the place. I think it's works well that way. We're going to use a little bit of some thin. It's a nice one-shot wing case material. You can see there I connect bead to wire. And right now I'm actually not, squirting. I'm just using that tip to manipulate the resin. We're going to cure for the required 10 to 15 seconds. And there you go. Nice little basic copper john that's blue. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.